This is black light. I put the light on the subject, turn up the brightness. You see, the Native American, the so-called Native Americans, or the so-called Indian, or the Aboriginals of this land called America, were more of a Christian nature than those pilgrims and those white or Caucasian Europeans that came over here. Some of the Native Americans was reluctant to uh, welcome the Caucasian European in the beginning of the development of what they call the United States, and they knew they were bad news, and some of them put out the welcome mat and taught them how to live and survive, traded with them, taught them how to live over here. Ultimately, the Caucasian Europeans didn't recognize that these Indians were treating them Christian-like, Christ-like, and extending a helping hand to these people to keep them alive over here in the wilderness of North America. Because they said, well, you know, y'all uncivilized because y'all don't have this Bible, and y'all don't recognize Jesus Christ like we recognize him. I don't know what book these European Christians were reading, because these Native American or Indians or Aboriginals of the so-called United States were extending a neighborly-like welcome and helping them survive over here. They were acting more Christian than the European Caucasian. You see what I'm saying? And ultimately, the European Christian end up practically annihilating the Indians over here, who helped them live over here, you know. And they end up taking all their resources away, all their lands away, and beat them down into almost nothing. In the meanwhile, they had took another God-like people and made prisoners of war of them and turned them into slaves and took away their name. They weren't allowed to practice none of their culture, even though in the land that they came from, you know, they were living a peaceful life. You know, they were living in peace and harmony with nature, and wasn't making war with the Caucasian European in any kind of way. But the European came along with the Arabs and working out money deals with some of the natives uh, over in Africa. You see what I'm saying? And so, two birds with one stone. They captured and murdered these people, but the slaves began to multiply. They didn't die, and they're mingling among the Caucasian right now. You see? Why is that? It was all in the plan of the Most High. Yeah, see, because what you don't know, Caucasian, is you tried to enslave the first man on the planet, the Aboriginal Asiatic black man, and you tried to nullify him, but he's multiplying. You are multiplying him. And especially here in Detroit, he's 87% of the population. This is the city, Detroit, where Master Farad gave the supreme wisdom to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And through the spreading of the Nation of Islam throughout the country, throughout the continents, abroad, you see what I'm saying? So the Native Americans and the African or the Aboriginal Americans and the African slaves, prisoners of war, were mistreated by the Jews, some Arabs, you know, because a lot of people don't understand what a Muslim really is and what a Christian really is. So the Pilgrims called themselves Christians, but they really wasn't acting like Christ or like Jesus. They were more or less acting like a devil. And that's been the way of the so-called American Caucasian for 500-600 years over here in the wilderness of North America. Now he's over at war with the Islamic world. He's at war with the black man and woman over here in America. He's at war with the Mexicans. Different kind of wars, but we are at odds with each other. And like always, there are those Indians that's all right with the Caucasians' activity. And there are those Mexicans who are all right. There are those Muslims who are all right with it. There are those Arabs who are all right with it, Chaldeans. And there are those so-called African Americans who are all right with the behavior of the European. It's black light out.